Hi, this is Ed Breniger, and in this video, I'm going to introduce you to the 5 questions that everyone must ask. We ask questions all the time because we're needing information. What are we going to have for dinner? Where are we going to go for vacation? Who am I meeting with tomorrow? We ask questions because we need to have information that helps us to make decisions, helps us to interact with people, helps us to know what is transpiring in our lives. What I find though is that these questions don't often help us in any kind of long-term sense. They don't actually help us to have a perception of what's going on. They don't really help us to have perspective on our lives. They just help us to kind of get from one task to the next or one situation to the next. And that's not that that's a bad thing. It's just not adequate enough. And so I developed these 5 questions 20 years ago, I guess it has been, because I found that when you ask these questions on a regular basis, that they help you to do planning, and they help you to do an evaluation of what has transpired. They help you to get rooted into a perception of where I am right now, what has transpired in the past, where I'm going in the future. So I think these questions are very helpful. And the people who have used these on a regular basis have found that they have advanced their work and advanced their sense of what is required for them to do better work than they did before they started using the questions. So here are the questions, and I'm just going to walk through the 5 questions individually, and so that you can see how you can ask the questions. And before I go too deeply into this, I want you to know that you can ask these questions about the past, the present, and the future. You can ask these questions before a meeting. You can ask these questions as you're planning a vacation. You can ask these questions if you have a situation where you're going to have to change your job, change your work. You can ask these questions about everything that you're involved in, and because they help gain perspective. So these are the 5 impact questions. First is, what has changed and how am I in transition? Typically in a situation where we're trying to gain some understanding, we would ask this question looking back to a period of time where we recognize something had changed. Let's go back 18 months, and we know that in this situation, this person said something that in our minds triggered, something has changed. So we go back to that point in time, and then we ask, what has transpired during that period of time to today? And we're just writing these down. We're not trying to interpret all of this at this point. We're just trying to collect the information that we need. It is important to understand that we are always in transition, so you should be able to identify certain events or certain milestones in your work or in your life where they are pointing to things that are changing that have led you to this point. Because I have done this, the rate of change and the rate of transition in my life is increased. I'm not saying that in any way to say that I'm an advocate for more change. I'm saying that once you begin to utilize this, you will see how your life is in transition. And what's better about that, you'll see how to take advantage of the changes that come to you. And by being able to take advantage of those changes, you're able to take care of the problematic stuff that comes along with change. So this is about gaining real sharp, clear perspective of what is happening in your life or at work or in the business right now. So, and my advice is that you, when you go through these questions, then you're taking notes and you're keeping kind of a journal of every time you're asking these questions. So what has changed and how am I in transition? Going back a period of time and look forward, saying, well, all these things point to why I'm in the situation that I'm in now. I mean, let's give you an example of this. Let's say you're working, you have a job, and something happens 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and you remember in your mind that, yeah, that took place, and then you forgot about it, and it kind of went away, and you went about your work, and you're trying to do the best work you can do. And and then there was another situation that happened, and you're yeah, that happened, and then all of a sudden you find yourself today in a quandary, in a crisis, and there's chaos in your work. And if you are really aware of all this transition taking place between that time 2 or 3 years ago and today, then you would have been better prepared to say, this is what's transpiring, and I'm going to prepare myself to deal with those changes and the implications and the consequences of those changes. So that's why we ask this question, and I think it's a very important question. And once you begin to ask these questions on a regular basis, these questions become very natural to you, and you're constantly looking backwards to say, what's happened here, what's transpired, and you're taking notes, and you're listening in meetings, and you say, oh yeah, well, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. That's how we got here. Oh, all right. So may I make offer an insight? So that's why this question is very important. Second question: what is my impact? And the question is really about, what is it that I do well, that causes change to happen, that makes a difference, that matters? So let's say you are asking these questions in the context of your career or the work that you do. So you want to know, you want to see, you want to understand why has your work kind of deteriorated in some manner over the last 18 months. And you ask the question, well, what is the impact that I've had over these 18 months? And you realize that maybe where your best gifts are, which is a way of understanding what your impact is, has not been utilized very well. And so you're saying, oh, so that's why I'm not doing as well as I thought I should be. Or it could be the exact opposite, where you're saying, what is the impact I need to have? So you look backwards and you say, we haven't been very good at this. The change is that we're declining in our ability to meet the opportunities that are before us. So what is the impact that we need to have now? So what is it that needs to change so that we can be better? So that's why we ask this impact question, because if you can be clear about what your impact is, then you can be clear about why you're being successful, and why maybe there are certain things that you need to abandon and put away and never go back to, so that you can focus on the things where you really are having impact. Third question is, who am I impacting? When I first asked this question, when it first came to me that we need to be asking this question, the thought was that we are missing some of those people who are actually being impacted by our work, but we're not even aware of them. So this is about gaining an awareness of the people who are being impacted, so that we can actually enhance that connection to those people, so that we can say, oh, well, you're being impacted by this product that we've created, or this program that we have, and so we want to do something specific with you, so that we can enhance the impact that we're having. But if you're not aware of who you're impacting, then it's kind of hard to enhance it if you don't know. So these first three questions, what has changed? How am I in transition? What is my impact? And who I'm impacting, are really the three core questions that we need to be asking. And so let's take one situation. Let's say that you have a weekly meeting. And I know there are all these different models for doing meetings, and I think they're all valid and valuable. So this is not about a meeting style. This is about prepping for the meeting. So you're gonna want to ask the question as you get ready for sales meeting or management meeting or something like that. You say, okay, what has changed since we last met? What is the transition that we can identify that has taken place since we last met? And you're asking that question, is that good change? Is that good transitions? Or is that not healthy? Are we advancing? Are we declining? I mean, you're looking at this transition trend to understand what is happening. Then we're going to say, what was the impact of our last meeting? Did it produce what we wanted to have? And then we ask the question, what is the impact we need to have coming out of this meeting? What is the change that needs to take place so that what our goals are and where we're going can be elevated, can have an additional acceleration to what we're doing going forward? So what is the impact we need to have with this meeting? Thirdly, who is impacted by our meeting? Or who needs to be impacted by this meeting? Is it just the persons at the meeting, or is it some audience, some group, some market that we need to focus on coming out of this meeting so that we are really focused on, doing the right thing? So if you ask these three questions, what has changed? How am I in transition? What is my impact, and who am I impacting? You're gonna be gaining a perception of who you are and what you can do and what you can't do. You're going to see things that you need to change, and you're going to see things that you want to improve. And you're also going to see things that you really are doing well and you were unaware that you were doing well. This is all about gaining clarity so that you can make good decisions, and so you can make good plans, so you can bring people together, so you can communicate and share a common perspective of where you all are. So those three are really crucial, that you're asking those all the time. Fourth question is, what opportunities do I now have because of the impact that I'm having? So if you're not having impact, then you may not have any opportunities. But if you are having an impact and it's clear, out of that should emerge some kind of opportunities that maybe you were missing. So this is really about identifying opportunities that you need to act on right now because you're having the impact that you're having. And this may mean that you had a surprise in the reception of some product that you released last year. And you had the plans for another product that you were going to release a year from now, but what you realize is that we need to really bring this new product to market much quicker, because it will be associated with the product that came out last year that was such a success. So we accelerate our development process and our launch process. And that's the opportunity that you have now, is to build on this past success so that you can have future success. And what it also means is that you're defining your opportunities by how we can have impact. So these are opportunities for impact, not simply an opportunity to start something new or whatever it may be. And those four questions that are very important, and we should be asking those all the time. But the fifth question is really as much as anything, the key one, because it is the one that grounds us in reality. We can talk about these other four in kind of a starry, abstract kind of way. Oh yeah, we've changed, and these are the things we've changed, and yeah, we're having this kind of impact, and yeah, we're impacting these people. Yeah, we have some new opportunities. But I've sat in meetings, and probably you have too, where that kind of talk doesn't produce anything. It just produces a lot of pats on the back and a sort of a self-satisfied sense of where you are. It doesn't motivate you and move you into action. The question should, but people are people. And so if you don't take these questions and act upon them, then it's something that represents a kind of loss. So that's why the fifth question was added. The fifth question, what obstacles do I face and what problems have I created? So here we are owning the situation that we're in, and we're admitting that we're not simply victims of other people's work. We're not subject to other people's situation. We are owners of our own situation, and we're taking responsibility to act, to change the things that become obstacles and problems to us meeting the opportunities that we have. So what has changed? Well, we solved our problems. How are we in transition? We've learned to solve our problems better and more quickly and more effectively and more efficiently than we used to. What is the impact of solving those problems? Acceleration and advancement of our program much faster than we thought. Who are we impacting? A far larger group of people than we have ever had, because we have taken the opportunity to treat obstacles and problems as something to resolve so that we can get beyond them to the real work that we might be doing. It was asked to me at one point years ago when I first brought these together, why I didn't put the obstacles and problems question first. And that is something that I do in a different form in a program called the Impact Day. So I asked, so what is the problem we want to address? But that's a different process. It's a different set of questions. I mean, we asked these 5 questions in that, but this is different, because what we're doing here is we're taking these 5 questions and we're asking them all the time, at least once a week, and maybe once a day, and maybe before every situation that we're going into. I mean, you have a meeting with someone today, you say, what has changed with this person since the last time we met? And how are we in transition? And if you want to ask that in the context of the circle of impact, we're saying, how are we in transition in our understanding of what our relationship is? How are we in transition in understanding what the values and our purpose is for the project that we're working on? And what is our vision? Well, how are we in transition in clarifying a vision for impact that maybe we didn't have before? And what is the impact that we want to have? And who is it that we need to bring into our circle that we need to be impacting so that our impact can grow to greater? See, this is how we solve problems, and we remove the obstacles that stand in our way, is by being very intentional about seeing where the impact is and where the impact is not happening, and seeing who it is with, and seeing that over a period of time. So let me say one more thing about these 5 questions, because I think it's very important. These 5 questions can also be used for planning purposes. So we ask the question, let's say you're looking at making, well, let's just say you're planning for the next year. So what is it that you want to change in the next year? Where do you want to be in 12 months? And how does that transition look like? What is the transition we need to be in to get to where we want to be in 12 months? And what is the impact that we want to be having in 12 months? What does that look like? And what change do we need? What is the impact we need to have on our work and our preparation and our execution? What is the impact we need to have there so that we can have the impact that we want on the work that we do? And who do we want to be impacting in a year that maybe we're not having an impact with at this point in time? And so what opportunities do we want to see emerge over the next 12 months because of the impact that we're building over these next 12 months? So this is, in a sense, looking at what opportunities do I have for 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 years down the road because of the impact that we're planning to have over the next year. And what obstacles do we face that hold us back, that keep us from being able to implement these plans over the next 12 months? And what problems have we created that we need to resolve and we need to take ownership of? We need to admit that we have not done well in these areas, and we need to change how we're functioning and operating so that we can be in a position to have impact, and we can be in a position to be making a difference that matters. And in 12 months, we can be in a different place. If you were to ask these questions on a weekly basis, or every time your team meets, you ask these questions, you will find everything changing, because you're forcing yourself to do 2 things that are very important. First, you are forcing yourself to develop clarity of perspective. And the second thing you're forcing yourself to do is take responsibility of your situation. Because if you are not responsible, then no one else will be. And you can't expect to have poorer results, or to say poorer results, pardon me. You'll have poorer results by ignoring the fact that you are totally responsible for the impact that you potentially can create. I love these questions. It's something that sticks in my mind. I no longer look at a card. I no longer look at these as words. I have them embedded in my mind, and I'm constantly thinking about this every day. And when they become second nature to you, all of a sudden your life changes. And so I encourage you to begin to do that. If you'd like to know more about that, reach out to me and let's talk, because I'd love to help train you to ask these questions and find all these different opportunities for you to ask these questions. I mean, I don't think it's limited to work. I don't think it's limited to work. I think you can take these questions into your family's life. So what has changed in our family, and how are we in transition as a family? And what is the impact we want to have as a family? What is the impact we want to have on our children? What is the impact that I want to have on my spouse? And who am I impacting? Who am I impacting in my family, and who am I not impacting in my family? And what opportunities do I have to take care of my family and have an impact on my family right now and today? And what obstacles do I face in being, say, a better parent or a better spouse in my family? And what problems have I created that really make it more difficult for me to have the kind of impact that I'd really like to have in my family? So you see, this is not just a business model set of questions. This is a life model set of questions that can apply to every situation that you can imagine. And I hope you will find that that works for you. So thank you very much. And as I say, if you want to learn more, if you want to practice this, I'll be glad to help you do that. So thank you very much, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.